Why have you chosen to only perform outside?
Artistically, I'm in search. I don't know. I'm not. There's something missing there that I really need to find that I probably never will. My primary obligation is to try and appropriate my own stories of the continent and to be able to transmit. And the thing that always sort of like get very worked up about is that Africa has been told and said and shown constantly through Western eyes. So in a funny way, we end up seeing ourselves through Western eyes. And I think that now it's time, there are enough professionals around, so it's time to take our own stories, show them with our own aesthetics, with our own understanding, with our own voice. And so that's why I say appropriate our own stories.
When contemporary came, he came, bam, he jumped in. He jumped in through, the West and through scholars and dancers like you. And what we need to understand is we need to first get those symbols and images together, know where they're coming from. It's like the hip-hop dance, break dance. First we looked at it. It was strange. How would one man tumble and do all those things and they called it the street dance, and we don't do it in the streets, we do it in the courtyard, we do it in the market square, we do it in the King's Palace. You see, we don't do it. So the venue, you changed it, and that first made us say street dance. We don't just dance in the streets.
eroticism on this thing. I saw European culture in it. I saw our Nigerian culture in it. So I think this is a very big cultural event for me. You show also how eroticism and how smooth, how relaxing our music and our dancing could be. So a lot of people think most of our dancing is so barbarism. We don't woo and jump up. But what he's doing, and I was watching his body, and you see how cool. I was about to fall asleep, doing it, but I have to keep my eyes awake because of what you people are doing. It's very beautiful. I think you people are doing a very good job. I hope you people continue doing that, and I hope you people bring more other countries to join you in such things, not only French, British, Americans, let them join you. Let you people should continue promoting culture in our whole world, because when you do cultural things, people get to know you. When they get to know you, they become your friends. So it's somebody you know that you call my friend. Somebody you don't know, you say, hey stranger. So when they get to know you, they also see the quality that you people have.
Well, I think our innocence is what the Western world wants right now. Globalization, what they want to share, I think it's just what we have that we haven't developed. Our natural resources, our environment, our greens. That's what they like. They can't believe that in a place where there is no more land and they built all the skyscrapers, taking everything up. These people have miles and acres and hectares of just grass, and people can work on it and develop it. We're hoping that the traditional culture may just be the saving grace at which we begin to say, look, it has to stop at this level, especially when we find that the African man, even after flowing with the river of globalization, flowing with the process of assimilation, has not gone beyond his position. You understand? It still doesn't make him a first-class citizen. Then he now says, look, what the hell am I following these people for? Or what am I assimilating and swallowing all these new thoughts for? I can't even cope. I don't know anything about a computer. And so what we are, just like in Nigeria, what we are consumers.
Egypt. Egypt is very much like Nigeria. It's a special case scenario in the arts world because of the density of the population and the availability of money, although concentrated with the very top 3%. In the mid-70s, Sadat came to power as a sort of a not very well-respected successor to Gamal Abdel Nasser, who was like larger than life. And Sadat really desperately needed to break the legacy of Nasser. And to break the legacy in the 70s, in the mid-70s, he wanted to break the socialist hold on the country, which was Nasser's legacy. And to break that, he started supporting the Islamic movements as a means of breaking the leftist legacy of Nasser. That's in the mid-70s. But then 1979 came in Iran, and hell broke loose. But accompanied with this, to move away from the socialist legacy, he started something called the mixed economy. But what it really was savage capitalism. And so he opened Egypt to the outside world for investments. But Egypt didn't get any investments. Egypt got Coca-Cola, Egypt got 7-Up, Egypt got every fizzy beverage in the entire world to be drunk and gone. So the country as a country didn't develop.
I don't really like this space. I fear a bit the look of the guys because there's not really women here. I'm a bit afraid of the reactions of the audience. And yeah, it's a real unusual place for me to dance. What am I expecting? Anything just the contrary, but of Lagos. I don't know. Fear and I expect them not to understand.
I don't expect anything, just as usual. I don't expect anything. Anything that comes, we get. We don't know them. We need to see them first. We only know them on the street, but we've not seen the reaction to what we do, so we've not performed anywhere. So we wait for the reaction. We can't predict it. So we wait. Maybe we're going to be kicked out by police, we don't know. So we wait to be kicked out. It's another reality actually. It's a colder one, I think, from what we saw in Lagos. I'm actually confused anyway, I can't say anything. No, I'm not nervous, I'm just, things are not ready, For me, we've not made the best out of Cairo. We've not been able to see so many things, we've not been able to perform, and this is the third day, and we have just a few days to spend,
I'm sure it's not going to be like Lagos because there's a little bit of a vibe, and we are not expecting it to be like Lagos, and that's not the aim of this project. And the aim of the project is to see different reactions. So we don't expect it to be like Lagos, but then we're looking forward to what it's going to be like. So today we're in this place. It's really interesting to be here because the structure is completely different from what we've already performed. We have a narrow space, very rectangular and linear. So apparently we're going to be having our audience peeping out from houses, down, and so it's a different space altogether. So it's interesting. It adds flavor to the project, and something interesting to see. So we'll see how it goes.
The thing is, I was actually pretty distracted from the fact that this performance was actually performed in this street, because I was actually looking at a lot of the cars that were stopping left and right, and I was concerned about people that were walking through, that they would disturb the performance. And actually what was really distracting me was the fact that I was worried about the woman's shirt riding up too high. And it's just, it really has to do with the fact of where we are right now. Because if you look around in downtown Cairo, and this is like where all the mechanics work and stuff, and this is exactly what some of them actually stopped to watch the performance as well. And I thought it was actually pretty beautiful to see something so out of place in a place like this. It's just the contrast was extreme. And I'd like to know what was going on in some of the heads of the mechanics that were here that just stopped to watch. They laid down their work and they came here to watch the performance. That would be pretty interesting to know. I think the length of the performance was pretty perfect. I think it's nice if it's as short as it is now. It would be too long if it was longer. And I don't know, I guess I'd invite them for a beer. That would kind of be the price that I'd be willing to pay for it. But I mean, I couldn't. For me, it's not like a night-filling performance. It's too intense. It's like a concentration of... I don't know. Actually, I think I recognize something European there. There might have been something that made me want to see more of it. Something that I definitely have not encountered in this city or in this country. So, I don't know, some kind of something familiar maybe? Something that that the city's definitely lacking? I don't know.
Okay, someone said the money makes the world go round.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
Not with that.
I'm really not sure about that. And I think we've fallen into the trap of thinking that, and we're losing ourselves in the process. That's where we're going, that's where we're heading. And it's okay, you know, I'm not just denouncing the system. What I'm saying is that Europe went through its 100-year war. Europe went through its industrial revolution. Europe and democracy didn't come out of nowhere. America didn't tell them, you have to be democratic tomorrow, otherwise you're not going to get aid. We haven't gone through the process. We need to find ourselves and know who we are and what we want before we start jumping onto this bandwagon of how Europe did it, because we can't do it the same way. It's not the same era, it's not the same, nothing's the same, and we'll always get lost on the way.
South Africa. It's cool, man.
There's a huge young audience in this country. It's massive, especially for something like contemporary dance. And there's something very extraordinary happening with theatre and dance in South Africa. The boundaries are falling away between theatre, dance, performance art, digital arts and visual arts particularly. All those things are coming together now very fast in South Africa. And of course it's hugely appealing to young people. And you performing outside now is becoming the norm.
I would not try to tell an artist how to do his work so that it becomes more popular. And I think it is possible to have good art that is unpopular. And I think that's why art has got a special place. I would not want to tell artists to become business people. I think that would be a mistake. The value of art, one important value, is that it holds up a mirror, and hopefully an honest mirror, to us as a society, so we can look at ourselves and come to terms with ourselves. And in South Africa, that kind of thing is very important. We have a history that we've got to deal with. And you know, that means that we've got to deal with ourselves. We've got to make sense of our history and our experiences by looking at ourselves in the mirror, without looking away, without being afraid of what we see.
When you make your own culture a product to buy and sell, who are you gonna be? You're gonna be the person who can be bought with whoever pays more. Personally, I don't want to be that person. I'd rather stay poor, but with my dignity, with my pride, and knowing who I am and for what I'm doing. And me, I'm gonna leave a legacy behind for my children.
That's what excites me about your project. I think the people must take ownership of their art. I think that's important. And they must support their art. And perhaps people need to understand the value of the art. Begin to teach ordinary people that art is valuable. It's not something that rich people have on their walls. It's not something that rich people go to. So if there was some way to popularize art, I think that would help a lot. Let's say I'm fed on American TV. Okay. What are my choices? Remember that as a human being I have needs. I have informational needs, entertainment needs. So if all I have is TV, then that's a problem. But I think we must not take all responsibility away from people. They can choose to switch off the TV. They can choose to read, they can choose to listen to the radio. But it'd be great if artists could also, if communities had direct access to the arts. It didn't have to happen at the Market Theatre. So I didn't have to drive all the way from Soweto to come and see theatre and go back to it at night. It would be nice if this could happen in the community. But why is that not happening? And who says it's not happening? There are many street performers in townships. Yes, sometimes it's more on the circus kind of side, you know. But I think there's some foundation that one can build on.
Okay, I don't really know what's the title of the piece, but it's very inspiring to see young people coming through with such inspiring movements, with a conscience of truth, with a conscience of being aware of their space and timing. And it's quite interesting, yes. I'm fulfilled to see this.
Now, what do you think of the blend of the black and white performing together?
It's a new universal concept. We come in to live in one world, you know? We cannot differentiate, but we're all human beings, and I feel art is making us to be aware of each other, and I feel that race is not a matter of a problem.
If you were to see this performance at a theatre, what do you think it's worth to you?
Could be 40 rand, 50 rand, 60 rand, whatever money.
I think in terms of the forms, what the artists are experimenting with now, that immediacy, people get bored very easily, and it's surprising audiences, and taking audiences into different spaces, not just sitting in a theatre space. That's just survival. Artists have to redefine who they are. And like your piece outside today would look very different in a lit space. So it's about thinking on your feet all the time. Obviously, Europe and United States and maybe Asia is different, where you have the more formal audience and structures. And dance has died in the United States because it hasn't kept track.
Is not a politician, so an artist should be free to do whatever he wants. What you call conceptual art is not proper to Europe, because if we would follow that path, we would say that since Africa is an oral continent, we should not have books. Since Africa did not design any car, we should not drive cars. The problem is not the card, the book, it's what you do, what you make out of it. When you look at the rituals, the African rituals, there's nothing more conceptual than what they're doing there. It's about time for Africans to dictate what they want, instead of always following always whatever is decided. Okay, it's in Paris, I'm going to Paris, I'm going to beg there. It's in New York, I'm going there and I'm going to beg there. I think it's about time. This is the third millennium for Africa to draw its own aesthetic and to draw its own language. And again, going back to Bob Marley, it's time to fulfill the book. And if we don't fulfill that book, what will be left after we're not there anymore? The same kind of circuit. This guy deciding from Washington what is African and what's not African. I think it's about time for Africans to voice what they want. And of course, it requires a bit of work, because in order to do that, you need to think. You need to do your homework. You need to go back to the books. You need to go back to yourself. You need to go back to the continent and try to build up a system that would be a system for those people instead of copying a system.
I think what you're doing is if you feel the way you feel that your own community are not supporting you or not attending your performances, the way you're going is the right way. That performance over there, I mean, even me who, as I say, we kind of have an audience, but watching those students suddenly all sort of commute around there and stand there and watch you and obviously got connected to you, that's the way to go. So now I've taken 2 people who you were speaking to now and I've put them on my mailing list and I'm going to send them more information about what's going on. So you see what I'm saying? It's a development thing. Again, it's creating relationships with people, and I think it's got to be a repeat process. You've got to keep on going back to the people, to your communities, doing your shows and performances, and they will suddenly start expecting you and wanting to see you, and then you can take them with you.
What you should do, if they don't understand, is to explain. That's your role. Your role is not to do something that would please them, but it's to create that bridge between you and them, for them to understand who you are, and to understand that you're not coming from the moon, that you're one of them, and that whatever you're doing is coming from some place. It has in history.
I loved it. I actually appreciate it because the way he, like the we do movement as well, so it's about use of space, use of the body, contact, improvisation. So we're studying these things, and to see actual professionals doing it, it does a lot to us. So I watched the audience, the way they reacted, the comments that were coming out. And for me personally, if I'm going to be in this field doing movement, doing physical theatre, doing dance, then that's the sort of response I'm gonna have from the average person. I kind of see that, okay, maybe there's some things that we need to help them, culture them in a way, so that they understand it better and they can appreciate it. Because only once I started talking to some of the people, explaining to them what's happening, then some of them were like, oh wow, they were slowly getting it. I think this one's more challenging mentally, because you as audience have to look at it and actually think, what is being done, why is it being done, instead of like hip-hop dance, which is just like, oh wow, hey, it's fun, it intrigues you. Some people are like, wow, what is happening? And this, on the other hand, it uses sounds, music that is more, for me, natural, more not mass media. It's more specific to audiences. So you can't be enjoying the music. You actually have to focus on what's happening. So I feel it's more challenging to you as a
tell you a story. There's a guy, an African minister. He comes to work, let's say in France, and his colleague says, well, let's go to my private place. And they leave the National Assembly. They have this car with policemen. They go to, and they have traffic lights and stuff. And they go to the train station. They take the TGV. They go to that guy's place, and there's a car waiting at the station. They take the car. They go through the highway. They go through the industrial zone, etc., etc. And finally, they enter a little castle. And the African asked to the French, "How did you do that? That's incredible. Your little castle is really charming." And the French says, "You've seen the policemen and their motorbikes." They say, "Yes, so 1%. You saw the car or driven in, yeah, 1%. You saw the train station, yeah, 1%. You saw the highway, 1%. You saw the industrial zone, 1%. The Africans say, yeah, good. A couple of years later, the French is in Africa. Same thing, Friday. Let's go to my place. We take this 4x4. They drive through the bush, through the slums, through the things. And they finally enter places like Versailles. They enter the thing, everything is gold and marble. And the French like, "Why did you do that?" Like I said, you've seen the cops and the motorbikes? No. You've seen the train station? No. You've seen the roads? No. The highway? No. Industrial zone? No. 100%.
We lost our pride on the way. How are we gonna find it? I don't know, but I think personally, I have my own pride. And nobody can put me in a box, okay? You want to call me white, that's your problem. You want to call me black, that's your problem. You want to call me Arab, that's your problem. I am who I am. All I can tell you is believe in yourself. You are worthy. Why should you not be worthy? What you think is the problem, you and your friends should work against it. Build what you see as respectable and what you want to leave as a legacy of pride and honor. Don't forget these words, guys. I mean, what is our continent about? Except about generosity, about pride, about honor. What are the warriors of your ancestors and of my ancestors who built these civilizations?
a time where everybody walks the street but nobody sees what's going on. And that's about the time my baby's lying on the street crying out, but his mama is nowhere around. I've been fooled. Tell me why you're running if you don't know where you're running from. We're running to, oh yeah. Every time they tell you that change is at the end of the way. But I tell you, water, gold, power is what you're running from. Losers and looters, that's all we've all become. Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it's time for revolution? Wow! Wow! It's time for revolution! Wow! Wow! It's time for revolution! Wow! Wow! It's time for revolution! Wow! Wow! I know you don't mind, 'cause all you do till is sit at home pointing dirty fingers at him, at her. And when you get frustrated, you know what's killing you, but you're too selfish to die. So all you do is cry, cry, cry. Hey, you don't love the neighbors, oh, you don't love your friends. Pretend to love their brothers, you don't love them false, you don't love nobody, not even the children. Oh, let them know you're going astray, and you still believe that change is at the end of the way. But I tell ya, water, gold, power is what you're running from. Losers and looters, that's all we've all become. Do you know what time it is?